everyone, welcome to part 4 of my C# programming tutorial. This time we're actually going to make the code do something. Let me just zoom in here, because I noticed that it was kind of small in the other videos. Now I can hopefully see something. Um, but yeah, before in the other parts, all we really did was assign variables to assign values to variable names and then printing those variables out. That's kind of boring. You can't really do much stuff with it. Um, so yeah, I mean, let's say, yeah, you have a variable that says like int a equals 5, and then int b equals 10, and int c equals a plus b, and then you write that to the console. Hold on. Key. Yep. And you write that to the console. I mean, that's kind of boring. The results are pretty uniform. You can't really do much with it. Alright, so what are we gonna do if we're gonna have the program actually do something? What I mean about that, we're gonna use something called a conditional. There are what, 2 or 3 different kinds of conditionals in C#. There is the if statement, there is the switch case, and then there's the ternary operator. Basically what the if statement does is that it allows the program to branch and do different things depending on well, different kinds of stuff. So let's say let's do this, for example. We say int person is 5 centimeters. No, that's a little bit too small, isn't it? Is 185 centimeters tall, right? That's about 6'1" ish. Anyway, he's 185 centimeters tall, and he has a little brother. Let's just call, yeah, whatever. And he is only what, 150 centimeters tall. We're gonna go on a ride at an amusement park, right? So the ride has this sign that says you must be at least this tall to get in. So let's say the ride on the amusement park says that you have to be at least 164 centimeters tall, right? So if person is greater than or equal to, we'll get to that later, 160 centimeters tall, then, hold on, then, console dot write line, there you go. I get to ride the ride, right? Otherwise, if the person does not meet those specifications, else console dot write line. Oops. I do not get to ride this ride, or the ride, doesn't matter. Basically what this does is that the if statement checks to see if the person is at least this high or taller, right? So if we run for person 1, let's just call him person 1, just so we have a way of telling them apart. So if we let person 1, which is 185 centimeters tall, take the ride, he gets to ride the ride. Now why is that? Well, this here part says that for this expression to be true, the person, the variable, must be, and I do mean must, be at least 160 or higher. So what this says is that if I do like this, and I change the value to 160, then what I said is that person 1 must be greater than 160. The person is not greater than 160, the person is 160. So to accommodate for that, we just say greater than or equal to 160, just like you know it from math. It's greater than or equal to 160. So right now it is 160, and the minimum requirement is 160. So you do get to ride the ride. So now if we let person 2 try and ride the ride, which is 150, the person is less than 160, and thus the person does not get to ride the ride. Makes sense, right? So with this we can actually make the program do more things. Like say we have what should we do? Let's say let's write a name. String name, and the person has an age. Int age, right? So if age is less than let's say 30, right? If the age is less than 30, write to the console, wow, you're young. Huh? Like so. Else if, this is another construct. It's like if, like instead of having just if and else, you have a thing called else if, so that you can specify yet another condition. That's what it's called. So else if age is less than, no, is greater than 30, and age is less than 100. Yeah? I'll get to this bit later. I'll explain what that is. You're in good standing. Right? And else, like, if none of the other conditions meet the requirements, hold on, like so. Wow, you're old. Right? Oh yeah, we can do something else. Wow, you're young, comma, and the name. Just do that like this. Oops. Comma, like we learned in the previous lesson. Name. Exclamation point. You're in good standing. reason why it's showing red is because I haven't added any values to it yet. We'll get to that. We'll do the same here. Name. Right. So we set the name to be, yeah, to be me or your own name, whatever, and then you set your age to be, well, whatever your age is. So for me, it's 20. So now if we run the program, what's going to happen is, well, let's just show the output. Apparently young. And why is that? If the age is less than 30, I set my age to 20, which is correct. So I set my age to 20, and that is definitely less than 30, right? So if age is less than 30, you write this statement. Alright. So what would happen if we change the age to, well, let's say 45, yeah? There we go. You're in good standing, it says. Why is that? Well, if the age is, hold on, if the age is less than 30, which it's not, it's more than 30, yeah? Then it skips past this part of the code. Else if, otherwise, if my age is between 30 and 100, this is the AND operator, by the way, so which means that both this part and this part must be true, otherwise it won't print the statement. So if the age is more than 30 and more than 100, oh sorry, and less than 100, so basically between 30 and 100, then it's going to print out you're in good standing, right? Otherwise, if none of these two conditions are met, then it's just going to print out you're old, right? So what does it print? Hopefully we can see it. Hold on. Properties, buffer size, font. Huh. Hold on. I got this. Hopefully. Hey! Right. So as you can see, it says I'm in good standing. Right. So, can we actually do this? Hold on, let me just check something. Console dot font. No, I can't do that. Damn it. Anyway, never mind that. So let's say I change my age to, oops, not there, here. Change my age to more than 100, so let's say 102, just to be realistic here. What does it say? Wow, you're old. Because it did not meet up with the remaining requirements. Now let's say you want to make this okay, so basically that's how an if statement works. Now let's say you have a piece of code that needs to check up on a lot of different variables. Let's say you have a, well, let's say you say console pick a number between 1 and 10, right? Now, if you're going to write a lot of if statements, if let's just make a number here, int num equals to 0, right? Equals 0. If num compares to 1, hold on. If number compares to you pick example, really. Hold on, I'm gonna make this better. 1, like so, right? And then you're gonna do else if num is 2. Um, I mean, this gets really, really tedious to do in the end. Else if num compares to 3 or is equal to 3, whatever. Note that it has to be a double equals for one very specific reason. If it's not a double equals, it will try to put 1 on num's place, and that's not gonna work, right? So here, what this basically does is that it compares the left side to the right side. And if they are the same, it returns true. If they are not the same, they return false. And if it's true, well, it'll do whatever it says underneath. If it's false, it'll try to execute one of the others. But as you see, this gets really, really tedious to do in the end, right? So what you can do instead is that you can make something called a switch case. So basically what you do, you say switch, you switch on the number num, right? And then you say, well, if num, oops, not con, num is, sorry, I'm derping here. If the case is, well, if not, with the number is 1, you picked 1, right? And it's a break, like so. And then we say case 2, dot right line, pick it 2, right? And then I'm going to do this real quick. Hold on. I'm going to do this, just, you know, to speed things up a little bit. 3, no, this is 3, 4, 5, and then you can do something cool, kind of cool. Case 6, case 7, case 8, case 9, case 10. I'll explain this in a moment. And break. And then the last one. And break. So the reason you have to break is so that it doesn't continue. I'll show you that in just a second. Moving unnecessary white space. It is 3, 4, 5. Right. So basically what I've done here is that case 1, if num is 1, it's the equivalent of if num equals 1, right? This is the same thing. This is a comment, by the way. Don't know if I already said that, but yeah. I think I did. Never mind. So basically this is the same as saying if num equals 1, else if num equals 2. Basically not the exact same thing. And down here is the same as saying else, and then it just accepts everything else, right? So the reason why we have a break here is to avoid something called a fall through. So let's say we have case 1, writes this, case 2 writes this, 3 writes this, so on. And then here at number 6, we don't have any breaks in between. So case 6 is just going to fall through. 7 fall through, 8 fall through, 9 fall through, and 10 will fall through to the same message that says you picked something higher than 5. Because I'm lazy like that. So, like I said, we have num is 0 right now, which is not on the list of numbers. That's why it should pick default, because none of the numbers match. Am I right? You did not pick a number between 1 and 10. Hold on, I'm just going to make this a little bit more clear. Console write line. You picked... No. Not even going to do that. Num. Alright. Just so we can see what's been... So we say 0. You didn't pick a number between 1 and 10. Right. So let's pick number 5. You picked 5. It says you picked 5 because it goes into the switch and then it picks the case that says 5, which is what matches with our number. And then it prints out you picked 5. Right? So let's say I write 6 here instead. Oops. Should probably stop the program first. Might be a really good idea. Come on, work. 6, good. So let's say I picked 6. Now it says you picked a number greater than 5, or higher than 5. Did it do that? Yes. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 should return the same. So let's say if I say 8, I picked a number greater than 5. 9, number greater than 5. 10, still a number greater than 5. And if you say 11, it's not on the list, so you didn't pick a number between 1 and 10. So basically that's how you make your program, well, do more things, really. There's a third kind of what's it called? A conditional that I'm gonna show you. It's a little bit different than the others, and it might be a little bit hard to get your head around, but it looks like this. Let's say we define a number, int num equals 5, just for the hell of it. Int, what should we call it? I equals a number. If the number is greater than 4, then, then if it's true, return, no, it shouldn't be an int. It should be a string. Str. And if it's greater than 4, return hello. Or, if it's not greater than 4, return hola. That's about it. So basically this right here, this one line of code is the exact same as writing this. Hold on. No, wrong symbol. There we go. If num is greater than 4, then str2 equals hello. Else str2 equals voila. Right? Like so. But value is never used. Of course it is. Never mind. So basically what we do here is say console write line stir plus. This is another way of adding strings together to a single one. You just plus them. Makes kind of sense, or kind of makes sense. Like so. Alright. So, just to prove that both of them do exactly the same thing, but this is one line of code, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines of code. Hello, hello. So yeah, so if I change num to being through 2, no, 3, whatever, then it says hola, hola. Why is that? Because the first one goes down and checks, is num greater than 4? Question mark. No, it's not. Then hola will be saved to string, right? To str. The same thing down here. If the number is greater than 4, it's not, it's 3. So we go down to the else and save it as hola, and then we write them both, right? That seems to conclude my basic rundown of conditionals in C#. It might be a little bit much to grasp at first, but feel free to ask a few questions. Bye.